What's going on, everybody? My name's Danny Ferrari.
My name's Parker Ament.
We are Excellent Sound, and we are back with a very highly requested video by you guys.
A big-ass breakdown, dude.
A giant breakdown.
The biggest one ever.
12 inches of breakdown.
12 and a half, dude?
Dude, you're pumped up today.
Dude, I'm pumped, dude.
Someone took pre-workouts.
I did.
You're stressing me out.
Yeah. I did.
You got your pre-workout.
Every time I stress you out, I'm on pre-workout.
Yeah, you're all jacked up.
My hair's all fucked.
He's got TikTok fuckboy hair.
Pre-workout hair, dude.
You're like one of those
hairless,
guys
hairless
licks
rat,
his lips
dude.
like...
No, dude, those guys...
Anyway, so we're going to be going through our track for Cartel Volume 3. We called it The Storm. Cartel Volume 3, The Storm.
The storm was coming, dude.
The storm
it was fucking
came.
coming. And
Came
it came
everywhere.
It came all over your ears.
All over. Storms, water, wet, come everywhere. Storming.
Fucking tornadoes.
Yes. You guys are amazing, and we completely sold out of all of the Cartel Volume 3 pre-sale bonuses. So if you didn't get a chance to be able to get some of those, there's always next time. But we do have the normal Cartel with this project file and over 150 serum presets live on our website right now, so you guys can go buy that.
Go check it out right now, you guys. Thank you so much.
We will be announcing the winners of the contest for the studio setup for Cartel Volume 3, all the people that did purchase.
That's coming up, dude. That's coming up in a couple weeks.
Yep, so stay tuned. We'll be making sure you'll see it on all social media platforms. But today is about getting into this project file and what it took to be able to actually make something like this. You guys, this does come with the version of Cartel, so if you didn't have a chance to purchase it, you can still get it and get this awesome project file with the 150 serum presets and over 700 samples. Like the video, subscribe, comment. Let's fucking get into this
Love
shit,
it,
dude.
We're like the fucking Twister team. Like,
There
what was
better
that
be
movie, dude?
tornadoes.
Fucking Twister, where
Twister.
they throw the balls in there. Like, what was their team called?
I'm fucking the dude with the nice hair and you're Helen Hunt.
I'm Helen Hunt.
All right, let's get into this.
All right, let's do it.
All right, cool. So a couple things about this project file. This is the final version of it. It's all cleaned up for everyone. We're going to go through, we'll show some older versions for you guys, some honorable mentions, maybe.
Yeah, dude.
The first thing we wanted to show you guys is kind of get into the intro and the verse. This is kind of actually where we started the track, right?
Yeah, we wanted it to be like nostalgic epic. You know, that was kind of like the theme.
We feel like a lot of songs, sometimes there's people just say, fuck melody, let's get to the drop.
Yeah.
We're down for that too, obviously. But we wanted to put some melody in it, you know, especially for a pack like this. We got girls crying, we got guys crying, we got everybody making out. So yeah, this is kind of the vibe we were going for. A couple things that we did, and a lot of people kind of sleep on, but we use a lot of impacts in the intro and stuff like that just to kind of set the tone. Kind of a more like sort of cleaner impact with sparkles and dandelions everywhere, if you know what I'm saying. And then always a Reese, man. A Reese and like very almost like retro sounds, kind of. You know what I mean? We were using like a lot of retro sounds that we were kind of into that with obviously a Reese King. A big thing we did too is actually change up the actual melody of the Reese. So you can see here in the MIDI, it kind of goes like this. Now we could have just repeated that, but we went to here. So it's a little different.
Yeah.
And then back down. And then this one is changed. It's almost like a borrowed minor, 5th, 7th, whatever the fuck it's called. But yeah, we kind of just wanted to play around with that and then having the melody go back and forth between that and the Reese bass. So essentially we have this little melody right here, which is kind of this really cool kind of virus-y sounding. Almost very big room soundy. And a really interesting thing that we did here too is we started playing around with the melody and we started writing this melody first. It's a very storytelling melody. It's not like very common, but it has a lot of vibe.
Yeah, it actually took us a couple days to like agree on
Yeah.
a melody. You know, we had a ton of different ideas. We were flipping back and forth between the chord progression, the respace. It was like a melodic journey in a way to finally land on this.
And then we played around with harmonizing notes, as you can see in here. So a lot of these harmonizing notes are kind of like doing a lot of different counter melodies that are kind of going on. You can kind of see here, these notes right here that I muted out. We added these in and some of these bottom notes. And then another thing we did is we added a second layer. And the second layer is kind of also kind of playing and back and forth with this melody together. But what's cool about it is it's also harmonizing with the Reese bass as well. As you can kind of hear all of these together. That's a vibe right there. You know what I'm
Super
saying?
vibe.
There's a lot of emotion going on, and that's because of counter melodies that are happening. Another thing we have going on, and this we recommend this a lot, is just creating little ambient fillers in your songs, especially for breaks, just stuff like this. A nice little big nug of nodge right here. If you guys smoke that shit, light that shit up and cue that fucking music, okay?
Cue it up, baby.
Is a lot of times we're making arpeggios and we're like out here trying to fucking pencil this shit in like a bunch of idiots. And then when we were working on this song, I remembered that there's an arpeggiator in Ableton, but whenever I use it for other things. I don't really use it for actually arpeggiating. And so what we did is we just kind of took a basic chord, the same sort of notes kind of just playing. I'll turn off the arpeggiator. Something funny about that, you son of a bitch? What's funny? What's funny? You know, I'll turn off the arpeggiator and you can kind of hear what's going on here. It's just basic, sort of simple chords. Little future farts. And I use the arpeggiator to kind of help write it at the same time, but you can see these notes are all kind of the same and there's just maybe one note sort of changing here. But when you turn on the arpeggiator and you set it to up and down, straight, and then the rate was 16th, you get something like this.
And it does really help you come up with new arpeggiated melodies. MIDI is out of here, dude. We're just stacking chords, baby.
Stacking chords, seeing what the fuck happens.
Yeah.
Another thing we had going on is we had these brass one-shots. These were kind of cool. We used echo. I don't usually use echo a lot. A little bit of auto filter and kind of creating this cool sort of delay sort of sound. Back and forth. Are these following the Reese notes? I forgot. Oh, I think they are.
They are, but we were experimenting with the different
Yeah.
melodies. Something else that's really challenging too with arpeggiation is having a melody play at the same time as the arpeggio. You
Yeah,
know? That's
it
a
is.
very
Yes.
difficult thing to mix, first off, because they clash, they're two melodies.
Right.
But then second off, it's hard to tell what is the main theme.
Absolutely.
You know? So I think that we did a really good job of mixing the arpeggio in as like a nice bed.
I mean, there's a reason why these brasses are kind of filtered, because the arpeggio is kind of taking up the highs and of course this melody. Kind of what we did for some of the mixing techniques is just kind of basic, but like what Parker's saying is we kind of place certain things in the mix. So using utility with and then using it on some of the leads here. These are a little bit more mono. The Reese is a little bit more mono. We have this ambient filler. I don't know if we spread this. Yeah, we spread that a little bit. And the arpeggiator, auto pan to dance around.
Yeah, I
your
think
ears.
a key takeaway when you're mixing a lot of different layers is the stereo field.
Yeah.
You know, you can do that with AutoPan, you can do it with utility. There's a lot of plugins that help you adjust in the stereo field.
Absolutely.
You know?
And then other than that, we kind of have some just kind of cool sort of break loops kind of going on. And then the build is pretty basic. It's just kind of everything washing out and filtering up. So after the build, we get into the drop, which I'm sure everybody wants to know about how we did. We start with the drums. The drums are like huge. So we start building off usually just a kick and a snare, right? So usually just started with just something like this, I think. Making sure you have a good loud kick and a snare. Basic trap pattern. We usually go, crack, crack, right? And that's like the normal trap pattern. And then we'll go in and then we'll add other kicks and stuff like that and little filler sounds. So then you start getting other stuff like, you know, this is like almost like a B section. So we have this clap sort of kind of going through halfway. We have the cymbals changing with it as well. But usually, like, we write like a basic sort of idea first, and then we'll go in, once we have a drop idea, like with all the synths and stuff, then we'll go in and tweak the drums a little bit more. But it always starts with these little things, these little sounds. You know, we got like glass breaking right here, those little laser shots, and this little triplet thing right here, this little, that better be that skinny kid up there.
Nice fucking ghost note.
Where's that little skinny kid? That's a ratata fucking skinny dude fucking dudes. It's just that, but it kind of helps into the drop. Other sounds we have is just a couple crashes kind of going on, pretty simple, and then a lot of reverse hi-hats going in for these drums. And then next, after we did the drums, we laid out the 808, the sub. We started with just like a basic 808, and then we wanted to add a real dirty 808. And the way that we did that, oh God, look at that EQ.
That's a beautiful EQ right there, dude.
I think somebody made a comment, like when they opened up the project file, they just saw how all the rules were just complete.
Yeah.
It sounds like amazing.
We got like EQs like this. There's some of our like gain channels are just like
I don't
above
care.
zero.
Sounds sick.
We don't fucking care, dude.
It's just
It
buzz.
sounds great, dude.
It's a dirty 808. We just kind of used a little bit of width on it and pulled the highs all the way up. If I turn the EQ off, one of our 808s in Cartel Volume 3, which you can go ahead and get right now, link in the description. Pulling up some highs, and then layered with a cleaner 808, which sounds like this, using kick tight, saturation, a little bit of filtering at the end. Right, but together. And then with the drums. And then also there's other things going, ka-dung. And the way we did that, I think, is we made something in Serum. Ka-dung. Like little pitch downs and little pitch ups, trying to making the subs a little bit more interesting.
Yeah, I remember we were trying to get it to happen with MIDI, but with Ableton and all the pitch modulation, it's like really hard to do. So we just put it into audio and we did it that way.
It tended to work out a little bit better. So that's pretty much it for as far as the sub. It's kind of just following the kick, but it has some pitching and stuff going on like that. And then next we went ahead and then let's get into the drop. So once we have like a basic sort of idea going on here, you always got to start with like the sickest, on the one. The one is so important. This is like a crazy sound. It's like a tube howler.
Yeah.
Whoa. And then of course, reverb throws all over this fucking track, okay? The reverb throw is huge. You can kind of see the automation. And you guys can take a little more in-depth look into this project file if you guys, purchase the pack and stuff. But the one is right away just taking our breath away. Like, it feels like I just got punched in the stomach. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I just go from here and I just let everything cut out. And then this spear sound came out pretty easily. It was pretty cool. It's one of the sounds in Cartel, one of the presets. And we just kind of held down a note and it kind of had its own little sequence in it that we had made. And it kind of made it had its own little reverb throws in the preset itself.
Yeah.
And then we kind of just accentuated that.
And you know what's funny too is this we thought was a good B drop.
Yes.
Originally.
Yeah, we did. You can kind of see it's swung very heavily, but it kind of lines up pretty nicely. Does it line up on triplets?
Command 3.
I'm in there, dude. I'm Command 3.
I'm telling the Sub and Wubbers, dude.
You said that like, no, it's not. It's not quite on the triplets, but it has a triplet sort of vibe to it, right? So it's a little off the grid, but that's actually because of the LFO of the patch. You can kind of open it up. Just that right there. That was like cool. And I think that's kind of how we started it. And then of course we just processed the hell out of it. Just using some OTT, a lot of saturation, the reverb throws and the auto pans. And then getting creative using the audio. Once we froze and flatten it, then we can kind of mess around and cut little pieces out. Like even this little. So that was kind of a cool sort of vibe. Once we had that, we're like, all right, cool. Now we need a B section. And then we went on. We tried a bunch of ideas, which ended up kind of ending on this. That one of the very first drops had that sort of that sort of climbing vibe.
Yeah.
We really, really liked that, and we wanted to incorporate it a little bit more influential. And since the very beginning of this sort of moonfucker, that's the name of the sound. It's really distorted and sounds like kind of shit by itself, but in the mix. And then we had to kind of have some cool sort of yoinks going on to kind of create the space. Without it, it was just kind of boring. I mean, you could do it, but we really liked this sound. We just really wanted to use it, whip it.
Yeah.
And then some other cool, like, alternating sounds, just sort of like bass fills. Having those sort of things kind of help each other really helps. And then we have the same sound again, the sort of the one on the one. But this time it's an octave higher versus lower. And it's layered a little bit with this sound. And of course, another big thing too, and this is like with a lot of boombox songs, I mean, this is like an ode to boombox too a little bit. The chants that are kind of going on in the drop are super important to the vibe. And they all change, sort of, right?
Okay. Whoa.
And they're kind of random, but
It's interesting. If you were to play the drop without any of the vocal shots, it feels weird.
Should we do
You know? Yeah, yeah. Try it.
yeah, it just feels like it's missing something.
It's interesting. It's kind of like when you add lyrics or like vocals to
Yeah.
a song, it really comes together. It's like that human element.
It's kind of helping the groove a little bit more. you
Yeah.
know? And then we have this other sound, this heat seeker sound.
Yeah, I
very
love this sound, dude.
Super weird. I think we were just kind of fucking around with MIDI notes, just trying to get different ideas for this sound. And then, of course, a ton of processing. A lot of times when you're trying to come up with drop ideas, like try messing with like going from octave to octave. We do that a lot of times, and sometimes we can get some really interesting stuff versus it just kind of sounding at its normal sort of.
Yeah, sometimes when you're using an octave that's not meant for the sound, it comes out with really cool vibe, especially with the production on it.
Right. And then you can kind of hear what kind of happens here with the drums too. So we have the kind of na na na, this part that we showed earlier, the moonfucker. We had that the whole way through, but it got stale, it got old. So we knew we headed into like a C part essentially. And then we still have the sort of whip it sound underneath it, so it kind of still sounds a little familiar. And then on the drop B, this sort of sound right here, we have like almost like a sub sort of buzz space kind of going down with, I think, the 808. And letting things just live essentially with this. So that's pretty much it for that drop. After it, another big thing is like, again, the calm before the storm, right? So the storm is happening and then we have a little break in between the storm. And I remember we were talking about it and I was like, the ARP was just playing using the accidents. And I was like, I felt like instead of just like bringing everything back in, like it needed time to just really breathe. So we just have this part right here. It's completely washed out. Just the ARP.
It's a nice breath.
Yeah. And then... And then for the second drop, it's pretty much the same structure that we were kind of doing with the sounds. You know, we were trying to come up with a bunch of different ideas and we're like, you know, this idea is already good. It stands on its own. All we have to do really is just change up the drums. And that's kind of what we did here. You can kind of hear. So you can kind of see, we just kind of changed up the vibe and then just kind of hit them one more time. And I felt like that was kind of a little bit more like super calm and then just super fucking chaotic, hyper fucking shit going on, craziness.
Yeah,
you know?
I think something super important about hybrid trap is the surprises.
Definitely.
When you set up the pattern, this is the drop right here, and then you're expecting that same thing to happen on this drop too.
Right.
And you fucking hit them with the fucking Jersey drums, dude.
Yeah, always go to the Jersey kick.
It's great.
Yeah, so we're gonna show you guys the first drop that we did for this song, just to kind of show you how it sort of evolved into what it is now. This one almost made the cut, but what ended up happening was we really liked the sounds and we liked the vibe, but we felt like it was too stop and go and we couldn't get it to kind of create the flow of it.
Yeah, they're all really, really cool sounds and cool parts, but I think that the cohesion wasn't there. We weren't feeling like the sounds meshed well together.
Right. We originally wrote this as a first drop, and then we wrote the second drop, which then became the main drop, right? Because we really liked the vibe of the track. This is really cool. You guys will see. It's an interesting sort of drop.
Every time the beat drop.
Cool was this little snap, like this little, oh, you know what I mean? Like I don't know how they do it.
Yeah, the little drum.
Superman,
oh, the Dougie.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, the Dougie, whatever. Right, so it goes. This little stop thing, and we liked it a lot. We would go back to it, and then it would fuck up the flow. It was really cool. Yeah. But anyway, so we started with that sound, and then I really wish that we could have incorporated this more because Parker came up with this really, really fucking cool part. It just didn't end up working because it was too much like the old one.
Yeah.
This part was so sick that you kind of made up right here. I'm sure we could have probably found a way, but like at this point we were just like, we got to just, you know, make a decision. So but,
yeah, that's what it was. We had all these different ideas and we couldn't make this fit. Such a sick sound.
Right.
But like it just didn't fit with everything else.
This is definitely a cool idea. We might be able to bring it in for something else that fits the vibe a little bit more. So yeah, it's kind of cool to see the different ideas. You can kind of see how some of the sounds that made the cut, this like sort of tear out part, or this little dubstep part we felt was like a little too dubsteppy, and then this little tear out part was cool. Yeah, it didn't feel trapped.
Yeah.
We wanted to make it feel trapped. Sometimes when we're struggling on an idea, we'll start fresh, and then we started coming up with that second drop idea. We're like,
yeah, it's hard sometimes too, but you have to remember, when you're writing something, you can always go back to your old sounds.
Yep.
If you stay organized, you can always go back.
yeah, and a lot of these sounds ended up helping to be able to just like bring in some of the filler sounds. I mean, we used
we would have never gotten to that point if we weren't experimenting with this.
100%. So yeah, that's kind of interesting just to kind of show you guys how we made that first drop. This song was a lot of fun to make. I know that doing hybrid trap, it can be really, I think it's the hardest genre to produce. I don't know if you agree or not. But
I mean, I think it's definitely one of the hardest genres.
Yeah.
Especially because we have such high expectations for ourselves.
Definitely.
When we're making drop, we're yelling at each other, you know? We're leaving the room, we're getting upset, you know?
We're getting emotional.
I think something's cool, and then he thinks it's an outro. And I'm like, what the fuck? This is a sick-ass drop, dude.
I'm like, that'd be a cool outro.
Yeah, I'm like, what the fuck is he talking about, dude?
Or you'll focus on like one tiny thing of like a melody.
Yeah.
It might be like one note, or you're like, no, and I'll be like, no, this is fine. Like, fuck it. Like, it's fine. It's fine. And you'll be like, no. And it'll take you about an hour to finally convince me, and then I'll be like, okay, you're right.
Yeah.
There's
that's why we're a good team, you know? Sometimes we have like fucking 24 bar drops and they're just fucking ideas everywhere, and it's like they're all cool ideas, but like what's the right idea? You know, what's going to help the song?
I think that what's important is that we know not to get our feelings hurt. I mean, sometimes it does happen, but I mean it's rare. I know that like when Parker's picking apart something that I might be doing, or I'm picking apart something he's doing, I know that he's not picking apart me as a producer. He's trying to help the song be as best as it possibly can.
Exactly.
And that's why when I hear some of his drops and I think they're outros, I'm like pushing the same vibe. But I mean, like I make drops sometimes that are like, oh, that's probably an outro. You know what I mean? Or I mean, outro sounds so shitty, but I mean like a drop out.
It's such a funny way to put something.
I know, it's
you know?
so
like,
disrespectful.
Who fucking writes outros, dude? The outro is just the intro.
You do, Parker. So, if you really enjoyed this, again, make sure you guys go grab a Cartel Volume 3. It's out now. You can get this project file. All the sounds, of course, are in there. 150 Serum presets. I think over 700 samples.
Bro, it's so many samples.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot in that pack. Definitely one of our biggest packs. Thank you to those who purchased it early. If you didn't get a chance to get some of the extra bonuses, don't worry. There will be a next time. And we will see you guys in the next one. Like the video, subscribe. Comment down below what you guys want to see next for a chance to win Cartel Volume 3. We'll go ahead and
oh, yeah, baby.
And yeah, anything else?
I think that's it. Follow us on Instagram. We're showing a lot of behind the scenes action, a lot of funny Danny stuff, a lot of funny Parker stuff. So go follow us on there if you haven't already. We got Reels going. We got TikToks going.
We got TikTok.
Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you guys next week.
See you next week. Look out for that drop video.
Peace.